James Thurber's birthday week, he was born on December 8th, 1894, just concludes, and though he was revered as an artist in England in a way he never was here, though he often visited Bermuda, though he had a claim to France, both from serving there briefly as World War I ended and then going back and living there for a while, Thurber was quintessentially American. Not that he didn't dream of it being otherwise. Our main course tonight, his version of the universal dream of running away. A note at the end, published originally in My Life in Hard Times in 1933. We'll preface it with something from Fables for Our Time and Famous Poems Illustrated from 1940. I am reading, as usual, from the Library of America, Thurber, Writings and Drawings, edited by Garrison Keillor, The Biggest Bang for Your Thurberian Buck. First, The Glass in the Field by James Thurber. A short time ago, some builders working on a studio in Connecticut left a huge square of plate glass standing upright in a field one day. A goldfinch flying swiftly across the field struck the glass and was knocked cold. When he came to, he hastened to his club, where an attendant bandaged his head and gave him a stiff drink. "What the hell happened?" asked a seagull. "I was flying across a meadow when all of a sudden the air crystallized on me," said the goldfinch. The seagull and a hawk and an eagle all laughed heartily. A swallow listened gravely. "For 15 years, fledgling and bird, I've flown this country," said the eagle, "and I assure you there is no such thing as air crystallizing. Water, yes. Air, no." "You were probably struck by a hailstone," the hawk told the goldfinch. "Or you may have had a stroke," said the seagull. "What do you think, swallow?" "Why, I think maybe the air crystallized on him," said the swallow. The large birds laughed so loudly that the goldfinch became annoyed and bet them each a dozen worms. They couldn't follow the course he had flown across the field without encountering the hardened atmosphere. They all took his bet. The swallow went along to watch. The seagull, the eagle, and the hawk decided to fly together over the route the goldfinch indicated. "You come too," they said to the swallow. Well, no," said the swallow. I don't think I will." So the three large birds took off together and they hit the glass together and they were all knocked cold. Moral? He who hesitates is sometimes saved. Now to a note at the end. The hard times of my middle years I pass over, leaving the ringing bells of 1918 with their false promise to mark the end of a special sequence. The sharp edges of old reticences are softened in the autobiographer by the passing of time. A man does not pull the pillow over his head when he wakes in the morning because he suddenly remembers some awful thing that happened to him 15 or 20 years ago. But the confusions and the panics of last year and the year before are too close for contentment. Until a man can quit talking loudly to himself in order to shout down the memories of blunderings and gropings, he is in no shape for the painstaking examination of distress and the careful ordering of event so necessary to a calm and balanced exposition of what exactly was the matter. The time I fell out of the gun room in Mr. James Stanley's house in Green Lake, New York, is, for instance, much too near for me to go into with any peace of mind, although it happened in 1925, the ill-fated year of horses, 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 and Valencia. There is now, I understand, a porch to walk out onto when you open the door I opened that night, but there wasn't then. The mistaken exits and entrances of my 30s have moved me several times to some thought of spending the rest of my days wandering aimlessly around the South Seas, like a character out of Conrad, silent and inscrutable. But the necessity for frequent visits to my oculist and dentist has prevented this. You can't be running back from Singapore every few months to get your lenses changed and still retain the proper mood for wandering. Furthermore, my horn-rimmed glasses and my Ohio accent betray me, even when I sit on the terraces of little tropical cafes wearing a pith helmet, staring straight ahead and twitching a muscle in my jaw. I found this out when I tried wandering around the West Indies one summer. Instead of being followed by the whispers of men and the glances of women, I was followed by bead salesmen and native women with postcards. Nor did any girl looking at all like Tondalea in white cargo come forward and offer to go to pieces with me. They tried to sell me baskets. Under these circumstances, it is impossible to be inscrutable in a wanderer who isn't inscrutable might just as well be back at Broad and High Streets in Columbus, sitting in the Baltimore Dairy Lunch. Nobody from Columbus has ever made a first-rate wanderer in the Conradian tradition. Some of them have been fairly good at disappearing for a few days to turn up in a hotel in Louisville with a bad headache and no recollection of how they got there. But they always scurry back to their wives with some cock and bull story of having lost their memory or having gone away to attend the annual convention of the Fraternal Order of Eagles. There was, of course, even for Conrad's Lord Jim, no running away. The cloud of his special discomfiture followed him like a pup, no matter what ships he took or what wildernesses he entered. In the pathways between office and home and the houses of settled people, there are always ready to snap at you the little perils of routine living. But there is no escape in the unplanned tangent, the sudden turn. In Martinique, when the whistle blew for the tourists to get back on the ship, I had a quick, wild, and lovely moment when I decided I wouldn't get back on the ship. I did, though, and I found that somebody had stolen the pants to my dinner jacket. A note at the end by James Thurber. That's December 10th, 38 days since Republicans took control of the House. Mr. Boehner, where are the jobs? I'm Keith Olbermann. Good night and good luck. And now with a look at what House Democrats can do next week about the tax cut compromise, freshly back in town after a quick excursion outside of it. Ding dong, ladies and gentlemen. Ding dong. Here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Hey, doesn't that go ding dong, the witch is dead?
That too, or it's a doorbell. Over to you, Rach.
Fair enough, Mr. Stolen Pants. Have a good weekend, Keith.
You too.